Hello guys, this is Santosh and welcome to Tech Design. So in this video, I'm going to show you all the different ways of creating the points. So if you are already worked in any of the CAD tool, I think you are already aware creating a points and data points are very important when it comes to 3D modeling. So when it comes to NX, there will be a point creation inside the Sketcher environment. So that is going to be a different topic. So whatever I am going to show you is creating a points in 3D space. Okay. So this is going to be in a 3D model. So you can see here, this is a simple model I have taken and there are some curves and the models is there. So using this, I'm going to show you how we can create a points. Okay, so if you go to curve menu and you can see the point here, so this is going to be a point, or else you can just go to menu, insert, and inside the datum you can see the point. Okay, so both the points are same and you can just click on this point and you can see the window. So I'm going to reset this. So this is the reset command. Okay, and you can see there are many number of options here to create a points. Okay, I'm going to show you most of the commands which are mostly used in 3D workbench. Okay, so now you can see here the first option, always it will be inferred. The way how NX works is, say for example, you're going to select endpoint and you will select this endpoint and you can just click OK. So in the next time when the point command is opened, it will be always selected as an endpoint. So we can see here, once I go here, you can see it will be set to endpoint. So always the drop down, whatever it is there in all the windows in NX, it will be set to the previously whatever you have used. Okay, suppose if you want to use them in a different settings, so you can just reset here. Okay, once you reset here, everything will be reset. And now you can see here inferred point is nothing but it is a combination of all these. So you can use endpoint, you can use center point, or you can use a curve on point on a curve. So it will be combination of all these things. Suppose if inferred point is selected, and suppose if you want a point here, you can able to create, and if you want a point at the midpoint, you can able to create here. And suppose if in this endpoint you can able to create, and suppose if you want a point on center of the arc, you can see here center of the circle, you can able to pick it here. So it is nothing but a combination of all these. So most commonly used is inferred. Okay, so now we are going to go to next one, which is a cursor location. So cursor location, the where the mouse cursor will be available. Suppose if you left click here, so there will be a point created. Suppose if you left click here, there will be a point created. Okay, so similarly, you suppose if you need any point on the cursor location, so you can use it, but this is very less used because whenever you are creating a point, it should be on any plane or any face, or it may be on any curve. Okay, so randomly nobody is going to create a point at some distance. Okay, so now the next method is existing point. Say for example, if you already have an existing point, you want to take that as a reference and create and one more point. In that case, this is going to be useful. So you can see here there is a point which is already selected. So I'm going to select this existing point. Okay, once you select this, if you click apply, on the same point one more point will be created. So if you want at some distance, say for example along x direction, you can see here along x direction at 10 mm if you need it. So one after you select this, whatever the coordinates that are there for this particular point will be shown here. So here you need to add 10 mm for x direction. So I'm going to add it here and I'll just click OK. So as soon as you click OK, you can see here at 10 mm distance along x-axis, there will be a point created by using existing point. So this is going to be an option called existing point. So you are going to use an existing point and you can change the coordinate distance and create a point. Okay, so now let's me go to endpoint. So as the name suggests, it is able to create an endpoint of a curve. Okay, so if you select this curve, you can see here I'm going to select this curve, it is going to create a point here. Okay, suppose if we select this point, and you can see here the point will be created here. So always in NX, so it will take the nearest endpoint. Say for example, if I select here, this is going to be a nearest endpoint, and if I select here, this is going to be my nearest point. So it always picks the nearest endpoint. Okay, so now you can just select here and you can just click apply and the point will be created here. Okay, so I'm going to delete all these three. Okay, now let me go to point again. So now the next option will be control point. So there will be 3 control points whenever a line is there. Okay, so the 3 control points will be start point, end point, and midpoint. So between these points, so if you want to create a point at midpoint or start point or end point, you can just go to control point. So I'll just go to control point and I'll select this. So when I select this curve, whatever the nearest point, either it may be start point, end point, or midpoint, whatever the nearest point, so there a point will be created. See, now it is creating at the midpoint because midpoint is very near. Suppose if I select this, so start point or it may be an end point, which will be a nearest, so the point will be created. Suppose you can assume that the end point is nearest here. So if you click select here, you can see at the midpoint a point will be created. So that is what the meaning of control point. So now the next point will be intersection point. So intersection point is nothing but intersection between the point or plane, okay, or surface. So now you can just go to I'll just keep it as single curve, and I'm going to select this curve, and my second curve will be this. So between these two, there will be a point created. In the second curve, you can notice that the complete curve is selected. So I'll just hit shift and unselect this. And in the second curve, again, I'll just go to single curve and select this. Okay. So this is my second curve and this is my first curve. So between these two, there will be an intersection here, and it's going to create a point at this location. Okay. And if you click OK, point will be created. So similarly, suppose if you want to create a between the line and the face. So how you are going to see, you can see here this line is going to intersect with this curve. So I'm going to select this face, and then I'm going to select this curve. Okay. So between these two, there is a point which is, intersecting. So here it is going to create a particular point. Okay. So this is very lessly used. The only thing is here intersection between the curves will be mostly used. Intersection between the plane or a surface with a curve will be very less used. Okay. So now let's go to next point. So that is going to be, it is, it is an arc or ellipse or a sphere center. So center of arc or circle, you can see here, you can just select the center circle, you are going to get a point. So suppose if you want here, you can just select this center and it is going to create. So if you select this one, so center point will be going to be your point. Okay. This is very simple. And now you can see here angle on a arc. So how you're going to see, so now I'm going to go to bottom view and I'm going to select this curve. Okay. So as soon as this curve is selected, so it is going to assume this is as a complete circle, so not a arc. Okay. So it is going to assume it as a complete circle, and this is at 0 degree now. Suppose if I move it, give it as a 90 degree, it is going to move it to here. So now let us give it a 90 degree and hit enter. So it will come over here. Suppose if you give 45 degree, it is going to come here. Suppose if you give 180 degree, from this point 180 degree will be in the bottom side. So it will come in the bottom side. Okay. So it is going to create a complete circle, and then you need to give an angle. Based on that angle, it is going to create a point. Okay. And I'll just click apply here. So now let us go to the next option. This is quadrant. So similarly, control point, here also quadrant point. So quadrant point, you can able to say there is a clock, and at 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock, you can call it as a quadrant points. So for these points, say for example, if you draw a horizontal line and vertical lines where the lines are going to intersect with a circle, that is going to be a quadrant point. Okay. So suppose on this point, suppose if you want to create any of the points, so you can use this quadrant point. Okay. So now if I select this, you can see here the nearest quadrant point. So this is going to be a nearest quadrant point. So wherever the nearest quadrant point will be there it is going to create a particular point. Okay. So you can see here. So you can just click apply. Okay. So the next option will be point on a curve. So whenever you select a point on a curve, you can see location on a curve. This command will activate. Say for example, I want to create a point at 30% distance on this curve. So how you are going to select? You can just select this point, and from this arrow, you can see from this it will be measured. Okay, arc length at 7 mm it is being measured. So now I want at percentage. So I'm going to go to percentage of arc length. So I'm going to create it 30% of arc length. Okay, so 30% of arc length will be this. You can see here, this is going to be a 30%. So if you assume this complete as 100%, and this is going to be 30%. Suppose if you want to make it as 10%, you can make it as 10%. This is going to be a 10%. And if you want at some distance, say for example 8 mm, 9 mm, so in that case you can just go to arc length, and here you can input the 10 mm. So from this point where the arrow is shown, so from this point it will be at 10 mm. So you can just click OK. So this is going to be point on curve. So only difference between point on curve and end point is, so suppose if end point is selected, it is going to pick only end point, but in the point on a curve, it is a location based. You can input any point as our location and you can create a point. Okay, so the next will be point on a face. So it is very simple. So there is a, so you can able to select this particular face and it is going to create a point at that location. Okay, and now between 2 points, so this is very mostly used command. So between 2 points is, suppose you have a 2 points, in between those 2 points if you want to create a point, so in that case you can use this. So now you can see here there is a circle, and from this center to this center, between these two centers I want to create a point. Okay, exactly at 50% location. Okay, so you can just go to between points and specify first point. This is my first point and my second point will be this. So exactly at 50% there will be a point created. Suppose if you want to change it, you can just give it as 25%. So when I give a 25%, why it is going near to this point? Why not near to this point? Because my first point will be this. So from this point it will be measured, and if from this point 25% will be this, and if you want to create on this side, give it as a 75%. Okay. Okay, so that's all. I'm not going to discuss on pole and by expression, all these things. So these are very rarely used. So whatever I have discussed in this video, you can just practice on those creation of points. So that is going to be a very useful when you are working on part modeling and surface modeling. So in surface modeling, creating a points and datums are very, very important, guys. So hope you enjoyed this tutorial. So if you have any doubts, please comment in the section below. I will try to answer. Thank you, guys.